way. First thing I did here was to open up our knowledge base and find the overrides, creating a turning lane, easy to do with our search bar. And it's pretty close to creating a fillet. It gives you some files. You will have to download our tutorial to figure out where the heck this file is. And tutorials are easily found on our website as well. It's an installer, and it puts files and PDFs on your computer. This is part of the PDF, but it's nicely pasted here into our website, so you could follow through these steps and create the turning lane. Now I'm going to add a little bit to this turning lane project. In fact, I'm going to skip the turning lane, and I'm going to put in a road fillet instead. So let's go over to the location module, and I've just opened the file that we start with in the turning lane example. I'm going to read in a different screen layout here. It's not all that different, but what it does do is it shows me the offset. Oh, I'm missing some points. Let me just add some data points here. Reporting points. Let's put in some automatic interval points at 50 meters, 50 feet. Sorry, we're working in feet. This is the same as in your project, Scott. So okay. 50-foot intervals, there we go. So it's showing me the offset to the pavement edge here. This is not a forest road. It does have pavement. And for some reason, it's a little wider on the up at this zone here, probably because there's a curve coming. Yes, indeed, there's a curve. Okay, so it's got some curve widening. But right near the intersection, the offset on both sides to the edge of pavement, you can see my cursor moving in the section window as I do it in the plan window, is 12 feet. And you can see the hover tip is showing me a station and an offset. It's not quite 12 feet because my mouse isn't perfectly placed, but you get the idea. And you can also see the point code there. That's the point code we use for edge of pavement. Great. And I'm also showing the numbers in here. Now I want to make this into a fillet. How am I going to do this? Well, we're working in version 8. I hope you are too, Scott.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And we won't use your last name, so nobody can track you down from this video. Okay. Let's add an alignment to represent the fillet. So instead of drawing a circle in my terrain module, I'm going to add a new alignment. This is new in version 8. I'm going to add an alignment. Oh, by the way, this is the alignment properties panel. I'll show you how to get that if it's not open on your computer. All you need to do here is give it a name. So here's my original alignment. That's the center line of the road. Here's my new alignment. I'll call it fillet 1 because I'm going to need 2 of them. And I'll click on OK. And now it goes back to the File Open dialog or File New dialog box. I have to use the same surface. That's easy. It's the original ground surface. And then I can choose how to get my alignment. Shortly there will be a copy function so you can easily copy existing alignments. Currently I'm just going to use center of terrain. And I'm going to grab my point. There it is. This is very similar to creating a new alignment in our software. Now, whereabouts is the existing road? It's not too obvious looking at these, but if I just hover on one of those lines, there it is, east shoulder. Okay, that's the one I want. So I'm going to start my fillet on the shoulder of the existing road. And I want to finish, well, I want it to look something like this, right? Okay, I'm designing a road here. Do I need to design a road with a cross-section and a template and everything? Of course not. This is just a guideline. So first thing I'm going to do is just assign the bridge template, no cut, no fill, everywhere. Okay. So my second alignment is now basically just a line. There's no cross-section or anything. And I want it to look not exactly like this. I want it to look like a horizontal curve, circular with radius 32.
Oh, I see what you do.
So there's a guideline for my fillet. It's
Yep.
not a piece of the original alignment. It's a completely separate alignment, but it's a good guideline. And now I'm ready to switch horizontal alignments, go back to my original, and trace it. Now, the problem here, and I have to admit this is because we have some features to add, is that I couldn't see this road edge feature when I was designing the fillet. It's not a road edge, it's a pavement edge. So to overcome that, I've just added a file to our background, point codes, there we go. So this file was created using file save as terrain. There's the file I created, and this is a step that you will not have to do in future because you'll be able to display these things in the background. Whoopsie. I didn't even read that error message. Let me try that again. I'll save as. Oh, I see it's open, so I can't write on it. Yeah. So let's just call it temp here. And what I did is I exported these point codes, and I didn't bother with the center line, and I didn't bother with the cross sections, and I exported those points into a terrain. Okay, so that terrain is in the background now, and I can't see it right now because the lines that I exported are right on top of it. But if I switch alignments, there it is. There's my road, my pavement edge. So
okay.
Let's just tweak the fillet to match. It's easier without the curve on there, but I think we can get it right. There we go. So now it's lying on top of the road edge. So now my fillet is something that looks right. Yeah, that's close enough. I'm good with that. Okay, that's fillet number 1. Let's go back to the alignment properties panel, which you can get from this button if it's not already visible. And I'm going to create yet another alignment. So I've got fillet 1. I click on add. It prompts me to rename this one. I call it fillet 2, and it's the same process. Use the existing terrain, start in the center of the terrain, and go up to the center of the terrain and grab the point, move it back. Let's do it in the same way. I'm going to start on the existing shoulder right there, move along to here, and go up to there. And I'm just going to zoom in and make sure I got those right. It's actually possible to snap to the background, but I don't think it's necessary here. We're going to get things close enough, and besides, we're not going to do a perfect job of building the fillet anyway, and there's reasons for that. Okay, that's close enough for me. Let's put a curve on there. So horizontal curve panel, circular curve, 32 feet. Whoops, that's the design speed. Let me try that again. 32 feet. Okay. And again, this is not a real road. This is just a fillet. So let's assign the empty template everywhere. Okay. And okay. Now I got 3 roadways, and I can always switch with the right click in the plan. Switch horizontal. There, I'm back to my original. But I can switch it here too in the alignment properties panel. I can just go into this thing here and double click switches alignments.
Okay.
Or click set current. Okay, so we're in the right one, and now comes the basically we're just going to do exactly the same thing that's in the exercise. We're going to apply overrides. And the overrides is assigned by range, select overrides. Okay, here we go. Assigned by range, that's in the home ribbon. And what are we going to override? There's the overrides tab. We want to override, let's do the right side first. So we want to override the ACP width in this case. It'll be different in a different design, but for this, it depends on the template, right? The variable that represents the width is usually overridable. It is possible to make a template that won't override, but this is the right one for this template. And I happen to know that the one you're using, Scott, can be overridden too. It's a different name.
Oh. All right.
And now we got to change some numbers here. Okay, what numbers are we going to put in there? Well, the first one's going to be quite large. Let's just modify that just to get started. So it's going to be a fillet. We're on the right-hand side, so the default is 12. Let's just change it to 32. We'll figure it out later what it should be. Okay, and I'm going to just say okay to that. And you'll see that it will change the alignment. Okay, there. But we got to do all the points further back, and obviously that's not the right spot. So in location module, there is a way to attach points from your template to a thing called a reference feature. So we could do this all automatically. Currently, the alignments in the background here are not reference features. So if I wanted to use the reference feature method, I'd have to get those into my terrain. I can do that, and that would be another step in this process. But instead, I'm just going to do it manually, and it's not that hard. So what I do is, I've already done it. I've got these numbers here. How did I get those numbers? I just hover and read the, whoops, I got these in the foreground. Let me flip those to the back. I just hover and it tells me station offset. So where's the end of the fillet? Roughly there. So station offset 35. And I know that number is 12 exactly. So that's the end of my fillet, 34.12. And the start, let's just, again, this thing gets in the way. Over here somewhere. Okay. Now that's not actually station 0. Station 5, offset 55. I chose to put in 444, and then I went through and found all the others. So let's look at, for example, right here. And you know, you can zoom in and get it as accurate as you want. That point there, oopsie. That point there is station 11.5, offset 24. Okay, so here's all the offsets. Now I did put them in a file because I want to do the overrides all at once. So there's station 11, offset 24. Great. Now let's do the offsets. Assigned by range. It's already on the one that I selected last time, and we're going to change the first one. Whoops. We're going to change the first one from 32 to 44 according to my table, and it's going to be station 0. Okay. Now we're going to duplicate that, and also put that at station 4. I'm reading the little column of numbers here. Maybe for the sake of the video, I'll just make this a little smaller and put this thing on the screen so you can see it at the same time. Okay, back to assigned by range. So we've got 444. Let's duplicate that and do the next one down, which is 33.6. Enter. Enter 2411. Um, 1620. And the last one is 13.5, 27. Not quite. I need one more. It's important that I put in this last one. So the last one, instead of typing in a number, I go back to use default. That's 12. And I put in that station 34. Okay. There we go. That's my fillet. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. Okay. Restore that. And you can see that the road edge is now on top of that curve. And to all intents and purposes, it's the same as the curve. There are some small offsets here, probably not that important. Now, is it worth making it more accurate? Well, first of all, let's take a look. Let's stand back a minute here and think about what we've got here in the way of cross sections. And oh, by the way, all my changes appear in the data window here because I set up the data options to display the horizontal offsets for those items. We've just done the right one. And I set up point codes to show not just the 50-foot intervals, but also template override points. So every override that I created manually is now in my data window, which is kind of nice. But here's the drawback to intersections in road edge in general, and in this case in particular. We don't have a perfectly perpendicular intersection here. So in fact, if you go perpendicular from the start station, it starts to impinge on the existing road. And you know, you just have to ignore that stuff. We're just working with cross sections. It is possible, if you want to get really sophisticated, to design this alignment with fill and then merge them all together in your terrain later so that you get really accurate volumes and the slope is correct. Here the slope is correct. If you think there's the edge of shoulder, let's just look at that particular cross section. There we go. Back off a little bit. We're going the right. Yep, you can see how the cursor moves in the plan window as I move in the section window. So there's the edge of road. There's the edge of shoulder. It slopes down to the bottom of the ditch, which is about there. It's not a line on our plan, but it could be. And then it slopes back up to the slope stake there. Now all those slopes are accurate because they are truly perpendicular to the center line. Now if I move back a little bit toward the start of the road, the cross section indeed gets wider, but the slopes are less accurate because now we're not perpendicular to the edge of the fillet. And back here at station 0, it's a really bad approximation. So that's your gotcha from the engineering half of me that says, you know, everything has to be perfect. Well, it's never going to be perfect at this point here. You're actually going to get cuts in the old roadway at this point. There's a ditch here, right? So we have to live with that. But in terms of a plan view, it looks perfect. These little edgy things here are unfortunate, but that's because we're not perpendicular. And of course, on the other side, which I'm not going to do, we can only go a little ways because in this case, my cross section is actually going outwards from the road, and it doesn't even intersect with half of the fillet. The rest of the fillet over here is off the start of my alignment. So I can get that little piece in, and it will look okay up to station 0, and then it's missing. But you can always have that line in there in your plan view when you print it out, and there's various ways to do that. I'm pretty sure this will show up in your MultiPlot. The multiple horizontal alignment is pretty new in our software. So we're still working through all the details, and you know, that's why I say pretty sure instead of 100% sure. Anyway, if it doesn't appear, you can always do exactly what I did before, but do it on these two alignments. Put them in your terrain so that they appear in the background, and then it'll be clear. So yeah, if I switch to this fillet and do a file save as, I can make a terrain, and that terrain will just have the center line in it if I choose. So nothing but center line. Okay. No, I can't create a tin model. And that just opened up in another terrain over here. And there's that center line. So I can just copy that and paste it into my original ground, and then it will appear in the background here. Alternately, I could paste it into my the file I already created. Just do that. Copy. There's my point codes. Paste. And there it is. So obviously this little piece here is good, but not all the way to the end. I just have to go Control N. There we are, up to about there, and then I'll just break it and delete that pit. There we go. So because that's in there, it will also be in my save. Oopsie. Save not allowed, file in read-only mode. Damn. I've got it open in another file. Okay. Where is it? Must be this one. No, that's the same one. Okay, here it is. Oh, okay, we're in open read-only mode. Can't do that. So I have to put it in a different file name. Yeah. So just switch over from point codes to point codes 2. Okay, so I think I've covered all the possibilities. Now, if I look at my centerline alignment, switch twice, oops, hit the escape key, switch twice, there we are, back to the center line. And even if that background alignment is gone, so that was fillet 1, let's not display it, I can still see the line work there from my terrain. Of course, I haven't done the road edge on here, but here on this right side, I have done the road edge. Okay, so I think that's good for the video. I'm going to just stop recording.